guys, so I'm going to start off showing you how to spike your bag and how to use the fluid bag itself before we take Frank out and try that. So this is your fluid bag. This is just a small one. We'll give you a bigger bag, so this only has 500 liters. The other one is, 500 mLs. The other one is a full liter, so it's got 1,000 mLs in it. So you have a tab here. This is where you're going to be putting in your fluid line. This is our fluid line that I'm going to open up. So it's got two ends to it. It's long. You have the big spiky end, which is going to go into your fluid bag, and then this end that's going to be going to your needle, to your pets. So to spike your bag, you want to pull this tab and it'll open up your bag to be able to spike it. So currently there's no hole in it, so it's not going to come out, but you want to keep this area as clean and sterile as possible prior to putting your needle in. So this is a sharp plastic needle that's going to be stabbing your bag. It's got this cover on it. You want to take the cover off. Keep this area as sterile as possible. You don't want to take that cap off and lay it down because it'll get contaminated. And then this spike is going to go right into this hole, and you're gonna put some effort to stab it down into there. And now when you flip it over, you can see the fluids are running through it. And to clamp it off so the fluids don't spill out everywhere, you have two clamps here. This one will roll to clamp, so the fluids will stop running. You can see they've now stopped running. And then there's also a green clamp that you can just slide over like that to clamp the line. You don't have to do both, you can just do one if you'd like to. I usually let the entire line fill up, which it did prior to clamping it. So then your fluid line is now ready. I hang up the fluid line on something high. You can see here we have either a fluid hanger like this or a command hook on the wall, just so it's hung up higher. The higher it is, the more likely for it to flow easier into the patient. If it's down low, it's not going to flow. So then you have this end, which is where your needle is going to go. We use 18 gauge needles for this because it makes the flow go faster. It is a little bit larger of a needle, but if we use a smaller bore needle, it's not going to flow as well. So this area is protecting here the port where the needle is going to go to keep it sterile and clean. So what you're going to do is twist this off, and then you have your port here where your needle is going to go. The needle end is protected with a cover too. You just twist it, you hear that snap, and then that comes off. So then again, you want to keep this area as sterile as possible prior to putting on here. You don't want to take that off and lay it down just like before. This pops right onto here, and then this twists up over the port and it's locked in there. Now to get to the needle, all you have to do is pull the cap off and you have your needle. Ideally, you're not supposed to recap needles, but for the purpose of the video, I will show you. If you feel safer, you can. I'll show you how to recap it in a moment. So on your needle, you have two different sides. See if it'll zoom in for me. So you have a beveled side, so you can see how it's kind of shaped into a point. So you have the side that's open and a side that's not. You want your bevel up, which is that open port. It's not zooming in for me. See if we can see it better if I flip sides here. It's not going to flip for me, but you'll see the needle when you open it. There's a side that's open and a side that's not. So you want, when you inject into the patient, oh, there you can see, you want that open side up. If you put that open side down, you could compress against the body layer and the muscles, and it could make it not flow as easy. So when you have that bevel up like that, it'll make it flow a lot nicer. So when we're recapping needles, instead of just going like this because you could accidentally stab yourself, what we're going to want to do is have your cap down like this, and you're going to do a one-handed cap like this, so you're not going to stab yourself. And then you have your needle recapped. And then we want to rechange the needles every time prior to giving the fluids. So I like to keep the dirty needle on there, and right before I give the next round of fluids, all you do is you twist this needle off like so. You can save it in a baggie and bring it back to us so we can put it into our sharps containers, or bring it to the fire stations. They have drop boxes there too. And then put a new needle on prior to giving your next round of fluids. So that's how we're going to use our fluid bag, and then I'll make a second video of how to give the injections into Frank.